matrix is everywhere. It is all around us.
I thought you were a fed. I was a fed? Yeah.
I'm not a fed.
What about the USS Liberty?
No, you should be careful about that. It doesn't. Let me stop you there. It doesn't matter whether or not it comes from.
Welcome to the circuit. We got a good show for you today. Thank you for everyone that is sticking. Oh, whoops! Thank you for sticking around for the circuit. This is me and Mr. Atlas Thug. Thank you for being here today, Atlas. We got a lot to cover. Atlas does all the hard work. Atlas does all the hard work around here for anyone that doesn't know. So shout out to Atlas for all of that, all of the hard work he does. We appreciate that. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into somebody today that you probably saw on the thumbnail. I think his name is Jiang baby. Is he a plant? Is he not a plant? What's going on? This is the circuit. What we cover here on the circuit is the Fed circuit. This is the series of the series of podcasts that everyone does. We talk about I throw Nick in there, but Sneeko, obviously Nick doesn't host people. Sean Ryan, Tucker Carlson, who else? He's had a lot of clips come out more so than hard podcasts. But Atlas did all the heavy lifting, so I'll let him take the honors of diving into some of that before we take the rest of it. Thanks, sir.
Yeah. So
wait,
this is going to be pretty similar.
Wait. Why haven't you liked the stream yet, chat? Like the stream. Let me steal for now real quick. Like the stream, subscribe. If you're new here, subscribe. We do all kind of shows. Got a new show coming for you. That's looking into technology and the developments of that and how we can wield that to our benefit more than shun it completely, right? We have a anti-AI bias at this point to some extent, but as long as we can keep pumping out images of Ted Cruz in Israeli bikinis, we will be on the train for that. Also, links in the description for a Telegram and the Nav channel on Twitter. So we appreciate all that. Super chats are open. Memberships are open. Mitchell over here with the membership. Smelly balls with the membership. Let's do it, dude. Let's do it. I think that's like $6 a month. So go ahead, support Nav. We're trying to do good things over here, ladies and gentlemen. I'll give it back to Atlas instead of stealing it from him again. You can shield too if you want to, Atlas. I'm not gonna stop you.
No, you're good. Well, you got the controls. I just thought something was wrong. I was like, I'm like looking around my room. I guess there's something going on.
Also, dude, hold on. Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
You've been talking to Athenor is kind of sponsoring the our little Nav session too to some extent. Have you gotten one of these yet?
Not the big ones, no, but I have one of the small ones.
I've been getting to send you one, and I want him to put it on a big old chain. I think it'll fit you real good. But you got to wear it every stream. You wear this, and I'll just keep wearing my my Fed badge. So we'll be good.
Same thing.
Wigger Fed combo over here. It's no longer Yankee Confederate. It's Wigger Fed.
Yeah, Wigger Fed. I'll take that. That's a good show name too. Welcome to Wigger Fed.
Oh, my bad. That was you. Welcome to Wigger Fed.
No, you're good. Yeah, welcome to Wigger Fed. Very similar to what we talked about last time. Hold on. Let me put my serious face on. Very similar to how we talked about John Kierkegaard on the last episode of the circuit. A lot of what we covered was just how he came onto the scene seemingly in a flurry. And next thing you know, he's ubiquitous. He's on TikTok, he's on X, he's on YouTube. And not even just that, it's not just like all of a sudden he's like clips are airing of him. It's that clips are airing of him with particular people. And then you have multiple people in rapid order. Now, the thing is with Professor Jiang, this is what we're talking about, not John Kierkegaard. Professor Jiang actually has been public for a hot minute. He's been a bit more of a public figure with multiple times. And through the research, it was kind of odd because I was trying to piece things together. Now, most people know of him because of his YouTube channel, right, with Predictive History. And maybe you don't, but Professor Jiang, the reason why you're seeing him in clips is because he has a YouTube channel where he did a thing where he called it Predictive History. And this whole idea, what he does, is very similar to if you're familiar with What If Altist, right? Where they do things like game theory and predictive analysis to essentially look at the geopolitical to make kind of these guesses of what's going to happen in the future, this predictive analysis. And very specifically with What If Altist, he does a bit more of a domestic look, but Professor Jiang does a geopolitical look. And so the reason he kind of came onto the scene in 2024, actually prior to these last couple of months, was predictions he had about Trump. And the reason why he's in the know now is because of the predictions he had on the Iranian war. But this wasn't where he got his start. This actually was in 2023 where he started doing this on YouTube. He actually has a much more kind of colorful history before then. And I'll give you my kind of thoughts up front. I do find Professor Jiang to be a subversive. I find him to be someone, believe it or not, who could actually be considered something as an antichrist, although not in like the big proper noun definition, maybe in the lowercase version of that, which we can get to that later on. But that's generally what he has been. I mean, he was born in China. He then lived in Canada at the age of 6. He holds Canadian citizenship. He was deported from China for trying to do some subversive filmography for PBS, actually, at one point in his life. He was allowed to come back to China. And that's kind of who this individual is. He's a very in the know, very concerned with the current just climate of everything. And where he got his start, even before he was doing predictive history analysis, was he was actually writing books. And so his kind of magnum opus really was his 2014 book, The Creative China is what it's called, but that's kind of a loose translation. It's more so innovating Chinese education. And what he did there was he wanted to take and apply Western style curriculum, a bit more of this kind of creativity and critical thinking, but not in the way that you're thinking. So he basically became on the scene as a very public critic of China's test systems, which we know today echoes the same kind of, criticisms that we heard about, like things like in Ohio, for me, it was like the OGTs or the OATs, the standardized testings. This is what he was also rabidly against. And then even prior to his 2014 book with Creative China, and this is detailing all of his times as being a high level principal, or in these kind of, they call them all these universities, but they're just high schools. And that can't be missed, as he's not a university professor. He is a high school teacher. But the other issue is too, these videos come off with a very weird feeling. It's kind of hard to pin down if he's actually teaching a class to kids or if it's like an online curriculum he's teaching. But that's kind of like a bit of the jargon switch, because in China, they call their high schools like the Peking University High School. So it's very confusing if you don't understand the bit of jargon there. But he's been promoted by people like Wall Street Journal, the Chronicle of Higher Education, BBC, The Globe, Daily Mail, Committee to Protect Journalists. And that actually comes in because even prior to him putting out these books, he was writing op-eds over and over and over again, being very highly critical of teaching systems. And so this is kind of like where he comes into play here. And what he's basically done, if he's not talking about the geopolitical in the space on the predictive history, he spends the majority of his time talking about how he doesn't like meritocracy in the West. And so it's a weird, he's clearly subversive. And so these are kind of his main domestic critiques. And so if you look at what he's critiquing here in the West, he talks largely of his stint when he actually graduated from Yale in like 1999, I do believe. I'm getting the year correct. But he didn't stay in the United States very long. But go ahead. Did you say something, Zeb?
I said red flag, graduating from Yale.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, he's one of the Yale boys. And but he graduated from Yale, and this is one of the hardest things to find information on. I couldn't figure out how long he stayed in the U.S., like where he was even staying. So I had to actually go through some of his Substacks that he had, where he had reflections on his time at Yale. So everything will tell you he definitely did go to Yale, but there's very little information on it, which is curious. There's more information on everything else. But he describes that time as being very dark and traumatic and depressing. And he even says after he graduated from Yale, he had like a dark, like 10-year period where he just like felt depressed and traumatized because of how the West operates with their elites and like how he felt like he didn't fit in. And it was all like this, like they're white and they don't like me kind of vibe. And also he's attacking the fact that, you know, people, these universities at Yale and Harvard, they really want these people to be like billionaires and people who will make and change the world. And he was like, and he didn't like that for whatever reason. And so he seemingly has a very Eastern outlook on the West and their view of meritocracy. So in general, even if he wasn't a plant, he's a subversive at the minimum. And that's kind of giving you a brief history of who this individual is. If we catch it up to where we are today, I mean, obviously he's coming in on the Iran war, the geopolitical, predictive history. He's on with Sneeko, breaking points. And now he's being promoted as like this, I guess, professional or someone who has a level of credibility, some kind of ethos. But in reality, nothing really tracks beyond his last 2 years on YouTube. And those are just kind of predictive analysis, kind of game theories. And again, you could put Nick Fuentes in that same category as somebody who predicted what was going to happen in the current administration right now. So if you're applying some level of credibility to Jiang, you would have to apply that same level of credibility to Nick. And so I guess the question is he being promoted because he is trying to take away his outcome of what he thinks the situation is, because they want to push that, which is much less about Jews and Jewish nature and biblical and Christianity, and much more in the vein of Illuminati and Frankist, and because, you know, all the other different theories that would not align with what we believe to be the truth is. That's kind of the opening there.
Nice, dude. I appreciate it. Lay the groundwork pretty good, Atlas. We're gonna get to I got a super chat and I want to grab a couple of short chats here in a second. Eric says Flava Fed. Oh, Flava Fed. Oh, Flava Fed.
Flava Fed.
Like Flava Flav, but Flava Fed.
That's you one of the big clock, right?
Yeah,
Flava Flav?
I think so. Yeah. Who is so Iceberg? Can somebody straighten out Iceberg? I'm not even going to talk about it. Can somebody straighten out Iceberg in the chat? I know we got a couple of defenders in the chat. He said you two actually look like plants, to be honest, and you're probably pro-Israel. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? And then he follows it up with, "There's no point. These dudes are probably here to tell us to support this war."
How do these people find you, man? You were a retard.
Okay, somebody in the chat, get the whip going. Get the whip going. Somebody set Iceberg straight. Oh, Berg over here talking about weird plants.
Just a magnet.
Berg.
Yeah, Berg. Yeah. It matches.
Gotta carry that question. Sam said here in chat, and I don't know because you've watched a lot more than I've used a clip or two of him. And, you know, I didn't really know about him when I was using the clip. And so we looked into it a little bit more, not as in depth as you have, but just because we claim someone is a plant or some fed or someone is a plant, wow, words is a plant doesn't mean that they're wrong. Yeah, it doesn't mean that they're wrong. It doesn't mean that we can't take some knowledge, some information away from what they're giving us. So I just want to kind of lay that ground. Right. I feel like I have to do that every show too. It's like there's a limited hangout for a reason. There's a reason that people give you enough information to gain that credibility, and then kind of, like you said, usurp us on the back end. And so that's kind of the question I have for you. I guess we're kind of jumping to the end right now. Jackson said his conclusion is that Freemasons it's the Freemasons and Illuminati. Is that your assessment too? Okay.
Yeah.
There's your answer. All right, show's over. Right.
right. Well, and it's kind of odd because his kind of lining of what he's pushing for came onto the scene as well. The same time Chris Webby did too. I don't know if you've seen this. Chris Webby, I believe, also reached out to Candace Owens. Chris Webby dropped like a 7-minute song. That's all about Epstein and the Iran
I've been
war,
listening to Webby for a while, actually. I'm telling on myself here. I've been listening to Webby for probably close to 7-8 years.
Really? Yeah, no, he's a big dog. I'm surprised he's even still around. But no, he had a 7-minute song and he kind of he waffles a bit too with like who really is it. He names a bunch of different people, and it's the same way with Jiang, where it's like it doesn't matter really who, but he's saying Illuminati, Freemasons, any name you could throw out there that would be globalists even. And it's like it's clearly one group of people at this point. And people kind of do this thing where it's all in a vacuum. It's like nothing's in a vacuum right now. There's very clearly like one country being attacked, one country is doing the attacking, and one country is ordering the attacking. It's like, are these things hard to piece together? But some people, I think, would do whatever to avoid being honest with themselves. It's kind of an odd.
Well, they're hedging their bets. They think they're going to lose, and so they are afraid to say the thing that is anti-Semitic, regardless of if it's true or not. They don't want the label. This is I was listening to Josh's show this morning, and we had a good show yesterday on Nav with Josh on Outside the Overton. We talked about the boomers and the dynamic between them and the war and Trump's positioning and everything that's going on there. But we mentioned somebody, Annie from Orangeburg. We called her Anne Frank from Orangeburg, a Jew. She called in Wednesday. That episode from Wednesday was deleted from the website, so it's not published. She called in this morning, and she was calling Ken anti-Semitic last Wednesday, because he was basically saying that, we're kind of fighting this war for Israel, and we don't need to be sending them so much money, and we don't need to be fighting this war. And she called him anti-Semitic for that to some extent. And she called back this morning and just went on a rant about the same thing, calling him, that sounds anti-Semitic, you're anti-Semitic, you're anti-Semitic. But to lay the groundwork is, maybe this is a lot kind of off the beaten path of the show today, but I kind of wanted to mention it.
Go ahead.
Is that no matter what you do, Ken's been defending these people for 30 years, 40 years. No matter what you do, it doesn't matter your perception of the thing. It only matters their perception. And their perception is everyone that is not Jewish is anti-Semitic to some extent. And so because you reach that conclusion, if you are not literally dying for them, then you are anti-Semitic. And so the extension of that is you will either die for the Jew or you will be killed for being anti-Semitic. I think that's the inevitable conclusion that we're coming to. Anyway, she was saying he's anti-Semitic. He was trying to defend himself. I'm not anti-Semitic. I love the Jews. But the problem is once you do that, you put yourself in a box. And I guess to bring it back in frame here is that sometimes, and a lot of times, it's these people that we call feds a plant. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I think they are. You think they are to some extent. Even if they aren't, they are compromised on the primary issue. And the primary issue is who is the actual enemy here? Who are we fighting? Because if we don't know who we're fighting, then we don't know what we're fighting for. If we don't know who we're fighting, then you're just going to lose. If you're blindly swinging a sword, if you're blindly shooting a gun, you don't know where the enemy is, you're probably going to shoot your own guys. You're probably going to hit your own guys.
Well, exactly. This is kind of like when you have a belief, when you hold it, you need to know what's on the front end and on the back end. What's the forward vision of said belief? This is kind of like where I've been on Christianity, again, off the beaten path. But a lot of people who don't even know the difference between post-mill and pre-mill. Now, again, on Exit, that's a different story. This is kind of where a lot of these conversations come from. But on the domestic side, if you go to you're just walking to the congregation or the church you go to locally, start asking the gentleman there, like, are you a post-mill Christian? Are you a pre-mill Christian? Like, what do you think about your eschatology? And they might not even be able to give you an answer. But that's kind of defeating the point in the same way that what Zeb just said here, you can't swing blindly. You need to be able to have your eyes open. What is in front of you? Where is your belief taking you? What is this? What is the end goal of the belief? What is the outcome of the belief? And again, to bring it back to Professor Jiang, though, in the overall, I guess I would say we know that there's plants, we know that there's feds. Part of the work is figuring out which ones are which ones are could be maybe so or definitely. That's some of the work that obviously we do when you got to pay attention to their actions. But Professor Jiang, I will say, he strikes me because he does have a lifelong history of being an activist, that I would just peg him as like, perhaps it is a bit more organic than maybe we're giving credence to. Not to say that anything he's saying is worth listening to. I do think he's obviously reading the room and he understands history. But with the lifelong history of activism, being kicked out, freelance journalism, coming to the U.S., obviously having this kind of like left-wing subversive nature to him, I could see a reality in where he just hasn't been in the right place at the right time, and that's why he's being brought about. The only thing is, and I know see some people here in chat are talking about, he's not obfuscated towards Israel. The only thing is he injects some things in there that's insane. Like one of the things that he's injected is that he said that Islam was created by Jews. So like this is like another, like he has like these odd points that he goes in. There's some things even in history that he contests. I was listening to some of these older videos. Like he says like some of these great wars that happened in Carthage didn't happen. He's like making arguments for him. I think many historians would find him insane. But again, I also looked at his accusation. Who is only one of the few people he levied an accusation against? And that was Nick Fuentes. And he said, quote, some of his conclusions are clearly manufactured.
Sorry, start over. Sorry.
No, you're good. And so the quote I have directly, I pulled from him, it says, some of his conclusions are clearly manufactured. And in there, you got to think, well, if Nick's conclusion to this is that it's the Jewish diaspora that has control and that it's the fifth column here in America is what is allowing for these things, like this is the conclusion he's reached of what the mechanism is of the system. And he's saying that's wrong. Well, then what am I supposed to take from that? I would only assume he's trying to basically block off where Nick's at and say, go anywhere but him. And I find that to be, again, subversive, but that would be the sign of containment or the sign of a fed. Don't look here, it's somewhere else, kind of like a spook, putting himself up to say, yes, I agree, but not at this point here. We stop here. We will do everything up to right here. That's the way I kind of view him.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. That is the definition of subversive. I think we've well established that Tucker Carlson is a Fed. I think we've well established that. And so that's the same thing that Tucker's doing. Is it not?
Right.
And so if we have that conclusion, it's like, okay, Tucker's a Fed. He's doing it. That doesn't mean that everybody that does that is a Fed, but it does mean that maybe some flags should go up. And if he's doing that exact thing, which apparently he is, then yeah, he is gatekeeping. I have my position that Nick is a Fed too. So I wanted to kind of refine that a little bit here for this segment. And I don't think he's a full-on Fed. I think he's compromised on some positions. And I think the primary position that he's compromised on is not the JQ necessarily. I think it is his positioning on civic nationalism and the tamping down of the temper. What do I call it? The de-escalation. I think that's where he's compromised on. I think we're not going to hash it out here, but that being said, I think his JQ positioning is where it has been. I don't think it's changed that much.
And I think that your line of like thinking of where Nick is at, no, I disagree, but I've heard this before, and I think many people hold the similar view as you on both of those ends, which is both this idea of the push for civic nationalism combined with the de-escalation right at the timing of Charlie Kirk too. So I know that stands out for a lot of people. To me, I have a variety of reasons why I think that I would say I don't believe in that. I can see it though, and I understand when people push for these things. I guess to go back to Tucker Carlson though, one thing that's really stuck out to me, if anybody is like on X or is online, terminally online as much as I am, is how familiar are people with Buckley Carlson, right? This is not the son, but the brother, I do believe. And supposedly we have these conversations, and I think he's been on the show with Tucker Carlson recently too, and all of the other kind of, peripheral talk around it is that these guys talk all the time. But Buckley Carlson's nothing even like Tucker Carlson online. Buckley's in fights with Laura Loomer every 2 seconds. He's calling her out for being a Jew and being pro-Israel. And he's going he's been going
pretty hard.
Yeah. And so my question is then, what then do you think of Tucker? I actually heard this discussion about this exact concept on Foul Ball Productions with Right Wing Coalition and Tom Foe, which is then what is the nature then? Is the expectation that Tucker just doesn't hear his brother when Buckley tweets, he doesn't see it? Like, so how tuned into all of this is Tucker, and is he ignoring it? Is he playing a hand? I think some people have begun to pitch the idea that maybe he's playing a really, really, really fine line on maybe perhaps walking into a presidency by also avoiding not having any major kind of anti-Semite kind of attack. Going too far is where Nick would be at. but close enough to Candace that it's meaningful in the mainstream. And so I heard that and I was like, that is kind of very curious. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a possibility. I think he's gone too far. I think there is some little bit of credibility when they say Carlson. I think his shilling of the Muslim world to some extent is to be frowned upon. I think it lends to the idea that he's probably getting a paycheck somehow. I'm not saying they pay him outright, but I think there is some type of give and take there. Or either he's retarded, which I just don't grant. To your point, that does he get Buckley Carlson's Twitter tweets? The answer is probably not. They probably curate Tucker's just like they do Donald Trump's. They probably have, they, you know how they have the list of like 35 accounts that are basically immune to blocking. They're immune to everything. They're boosted. They're VIP accounts. They have been for a couple of years now. Some of those cat turds, the Krasensteins, Libs of TikTok, Laura Loomer, a lot of these accounts, Gunther, Eagle Guntherman, you know, these people have been pushed on the X feed. And to that, I would say more than likely he doesn't get his brother's feeds.
Yeah. And that is kind of a curious point too. And this may be another thing. And I meant to answer your question you said earlier too. Like you said something along the lines of like, need to say this every time. I actually, I kind of thought about that last night after a show, which is maybe I do make too many assumptions of like what people already know or don't know. So like maybe I do need to make sure I'm constantly like zooming out and being like, okay, let's reassert like where the premise is, and then we'll leap from there. Kind of more so in like a teacher element. Maybe I was watching too much Professor Jiang. He was getting to me. But I did think about that because I do think there's an element which is, you know, what we can do best for people is provide them and equip them with the education and knowledge, and at least give them an argument to hear out all of the way. And so from that sense, I think it's good. We should probably start with base premises the entire time. But to the point of this boosting thing on X, there's two types of it, right? There's the political boosting, but then there's also the Elon Musk boosting, which is there's these two unique phenomenons, and I'm sure you've seen them both. There's people like Mario Nafal and Nikita Bayer and Ian Miles Chong, and there's probably a few others that I can't think of, but those are the ones I can name off the top of my head. These are like X exclusive, like they get boosted just because of proximity to Elon. And then you have the Trump circle.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to keep going. No, absolutely. I mean, they are, well, X is a military app. It has been since Elon bought it. Even before then, it was tied in directly to the administration. But I guess let's try to get back on track here a little bit. And somebody said in chat that, and you mentioned this a second ago, that he tried to throw Nick under the bus, and then they said Nick exposed him for being the rodent he is. Do we have a clip of that or something? I have both
of those clips.
Okay. Let's which one? Number 2?
So number
Shot
2.
To Nick. All right, we'll take this one first.
Yeah.
Oh, this is on Snicko's show. Nick went on Snicko the other day too, didn't he?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Okay.
He's not working for.
Before that, let me grab a couple of super chats before we dive into this this next segment here.
Word.
Dominguez, what's up, brother? $10 says Yang claims Paul was a subversive writer teacher whose writings were designed to water down and distort the message of Christ. He's trying to call into question the New Testament and create Christian heresies.
Yeah. He makes numerous injections. That's why I brought up him saying that Islam was created by Jews. If you listen to him, it's like he's good. Then he says something insanely out of left field, and you're like, "What are you talking about?"
I've heard that before. I've heard the idea that Islam was created by Jews. Now, I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying he's not the first one to try to push something like that.
Right. Yeah. And for what reason too?
Probably. I mean, it seems like, at least from what I'm gathering, he's just his entire point is to undermine everything. Call-ins? ? We do need to do a NAV members call-in stream.
Yeah, we do.
Can we do that this weekend? Would you be free like Sunday? Maybe we could do it Monday.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Monday evening.
Yeah.
We'll do a
Monday
members
evening?
call-in stream one day in the before next Friday. We do a members call-in stream on the evening, probably like 9 o'clock. Let's do 9 o'clock. All right, we'll do this weekend, one day this weekend in the evening. Members call-in stream. Congratulations, Mitch. You got that one. You got to call in, though. You can't not call in. That being said, if you aren't a member, become a member already. Go ahead and I think a lot of you were joined, but not we had some issues with monetization that kind of kicked a couple people, but please join back. Yeah. Meritocracy does not work. Even without laws, they will replace you with black hind or hind or female anyway. He mentions demon worship in elite ranks a lot. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if I would even say meritocracy doesn't work. I don't think meritocracy can exist. Like, I don't even think it's a possibility that it can exist.
Really? I'm actually diametrically opposed to that.
You think meritocracy? I think all humans have some type of bias, and no one can counteract said bias entirely to create a meritocratic society.
Well, I think the key issue is everybody wants a complete system. Like, you're never going to have a complete capitalist system. You're never going to have a complete meritocratic system. So, like, that's where my opposition would come in. I think meritocracy works. It's just like, don't let women have decision-making power, and we wouldn't have to be dealing with half of what we're dealing with right now. And get rid of the majority of all what came about from the civil rights movement too. I mean, we'd be going right back to 50s America in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I'm down with you. Let's go, dude. I'd rather go a little bit further back. Let's go back to like 1800. Let's go back to 1791.
Yeah. Maybe 1895. 1 year before maybe the end of it all.
All right. We can settle for that one. It's the mark of the educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Aristotle. So true, dude. So true.
Yeah.
We all get stuck,
what I find
man.
a lot is, well, if you just engage in something hypothetically, dude, chat will start freaking out sometimes. It's like, hold on, dude. Like, we're just thinking it through for a second.
Yep. All right, we're gonna jump into this. Is I guess the started with on the Sneeko fight with Nick Fuentes, and probably a bad place to do that unless you're trying to get the clout.
I saw you.
Look.
Okay.
Sorry, but Nick Fuentes clearly has a political agenda. The guy's a smart guy, but some of his conclusions are clearly manufactured. He's not working from first principles. He's not working.
I wish I would have got the preface of this. What did Nick? Do you know what Sneeko said to it? To get this reaction?
I'm pretty sure leading up to this, what Sneeko said was he was something to the effect of, "Oh, you know someone else? Have you heard of Nick Fuentes? He was also predicting the Iran war." I think that was kind of like the lead up to this, and then he juts in and says this.
Okay.
I saw you.
Look.
Okay.
Sorry, but Nick Fuentes clearly has a political agenda. The guy's a smart guy, but some of his conclusions are clearly manufactured. He's not working from first principles. He's not working, I think, he's a pretty smart guy. And some of the things he says, some of the things he says is like, someone's paying you to say that. I don't know, okay, but I'm saying
so someone's paying you to say that. Says the guy that's getting paid to say that.
Right.
Something going on with Nick.
I know him very well as one of my good friends. I've never got that. I've never made that analysis, but again, that's your interpretation. But yeah, overall, there's a bigger fight. If he wants to put America first can't happen without getting the Israel lobby out of this country. So I find like that's a good example of empathy and seeing that there's a combined mission. I saw you.
So is he pro get the Israeli lobby out of the country? I mean, I feel like that's extremely low hanging fruit in 2026, dude. 2025, 2026, dude. If you're anti-APAC, that's baseline. Yeah,
well, so this has kind of been where he's been largely at. I don't know as much as he's given about like AIPAC as much as he's kind of just clearly identified as Israel as being the driving force of what we're seeing in the geopolitical front. I'm trying to remember some of it. Was his Breaking Points appearance that I think we got a lot from, actually. That was like one of the first ones he came on largely during this era, which was like March 3rd was the Breaking Points appearance. Yes, March 3rd. And that's where a lot of clips came out circulatory from. I mean, if you just do a cursory search of him, even on X and some of these platforms, Sneako's the one that dominates, actually. I mean, maybe because of the Clippers, I would imagine. But he talks about the Book of Revelation. He's kind of in the sphere, right? But he's never truly like getting to the point, if you will. Now, granted, he goes pretty far deep on a lot of these things, and I haven't watched every single one of his videos, so I'm not to sit here and say I know everything he's ever said. But he did talk at length, I think, with Sneako about how Israelis always do typical things at typical times. So like, I thought that was funny. And he went to detail how during the war already, the Israelis, there's already been reports that some of these Israelis, while the war's going on, have been setting fire to their homes to falsely claim insurance on their homes. So like he brought that up. So I don't think he has a good opinion of Israelis, but I don't think the East has a good opinion of Israel, period. They seem to be a bit more like on the no on the JQ there in the East. But I don't know. To overall, he just feels like he's a very strong subversive. And one of his talks with, I think it was Breaking Points, this is why it said the Antichrist, was because at the end of giving this like kind of spiel about like the end of the world and this Armageddon war, this holy war, he goes, but what I want to do is I want to give people hope for the world. I want people to be able to put their hope in the world. That's what I want to do. I want people to have hope for the world. And it's like, that's actually not what we believe. Actually, you are an atheist. You are a retarded secular, whatever. I don't really know what his full out belief is. But anybody who's telling you to believe in the world is like, that is not a Christian.
Well, he is Eastern. I wanted to bring this up. I guess now's a good time. There's this idea that, men and women think differently. And I think everybody can accept that. But also different races like think differently after centuries and millennia of doing whatever they were doing. Some of them demon worship, some of them building Oriental houses or whatever they were doing over there in China for such a long period of time. Like the East and West think different. Like we just process information differently. It's why like NAFTA and the outsourcing or the offshoring of jobs and it's not that the culture didn't clash, it didn't, but it was also the processing of the information was never efficient because we just don't work that way, right? You can look at this throughout all of history, right? It's not an IQ gate, right? Because Asians are largely smarter than Europeans are, but you have almost like 97, 98% of all inventions were done by European peoples.
Yeah.
And so
like innovation.
That's not an IQ issue, but almost like a vast majority of major innovations have come from the East, have come from the East Asians. And so you look at it and you go, okay, they're not dumb. They're not creative because they can expound on an invention that already exists. It's that we just think differently. We process things differently. And so they would say the same thing, at least the ones that are intelligent enough to, Mr. Maul says, why are blacks good rappers? Because they are.
Funny. I mean, it is a curious discussion.
We're not going to go down that one. Oh, speaking of that, we were talking about Webby earlier. I meant to mention, you know who Mises is?
Yeah.
He put out a song yesterday or day before too. Same type of song that Webby did.
Interesting. Just seems like some people are getting the balls to bring it to the hip hop world too. I think I saw somebody prior to them too that had one. But I wanted to ask you this, because this is one thing I forgot to mention about its background. And maybe you would know, maybe we just need to look it up. But is it a normal process? Say like me as an American citizen, I go to Brazil or just insert any random country. I do something, I get deported. Is it typical that at any point, whether it's a consulate or the U.S. embassy would step in? Like, is that an automatic feature?
For deportations?
Yeah,
Give me
say
that
like
scenario
if
one more
me as an
time.
American citizen, yeah, like if I'm getting deported from a country, would, whether it's a consulate office that's in the country but I'm from the United States or just the US embassy at large, do they get involved?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
almost always.
Okay, I assume so. Because that was the one thing that I found of note too, was when he was deported from Beijing, the Canadian embassy was involved immediately and they got him out. I didn't know if that was
Is
a
he
normal
Canadian?
process. Yeah. So this is the big thing about him, which
Okay.
is really confusing.
Red flag.
Is yeah, so he was I'm pretty sure born in China. I don't know if it was Beijing, but he's born in China, lived there till he was 6. Then they moved to Canada. He lived in Canada, then went back to Beijing. And then when he was deported from Beijing, he was back in Canada. His only time in the US was the 4 years at Yale. And then at some point, he eventually returned to Beijing. And that's where he's currently residing now. And that's where he works. And the thing is, it's weird because in China, they don't recognize dual citizenship. So the moment that you claim a citizenship from another country, you lose yours in China. So he is like a nomad. I mean, like that is who he is at the end of the day. And I'm kind of curious,
So
like
he's
why he
Jewish.
wants to be in the East if he lived in the West for so long.
So he's Jewish. No, she could.
Yeah, stateless peoples, man.
Somebody
like
mentioned
this thing.
something a second ago where he said Nick's paid, but he said hold
He's
on,
not
let me
working from first principles. He's not working, I think, just. I mean, he's a pretty smart guy, and some
Very
of the things he says, some of the things he says is like, you know, someone's paying you to say that. I don't know, okay, but I'm saying like something going on with Nick.
I know him very well.
Did he say
You know, someone's paying you to say that. I don't know, okay, but I'm saying like
someone's paying him to say that? I don't know, but someone's paying him. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was more extreme than that.
Yeah.
All right, then we're gonna
It
get
was
to
more so
Nick's
when he said-
response from this. Go ahead.
Yeah. This is a bit longer. We probably don't need to watch the whole thing, but he goes pretty hard at him.
Gasser for the 2 says, Zeb, Europe invents, Asia enhances, Africa destroys.
Destruction.
Africa destroys it. You almost got there. We almost got there.
James Minnesota.
Oh, did you say destroy too?
Yeah.
Nice.
I did.
Birthday shame, Zeb, if you're a world champion. Yeah, birthday's tomorrow. I appreciate it though. I'm getting old, dude. I'm getting old.
Oh, hey, dude, happy birthday.
Thanks, dude. Thanks.
41.
All right, this is Nick. We're not gonna listen to all of it, but we'll check it out real quick.
So Professor Jiang called me out. Professor Ching Chong Chang. What the fuck is that? This Chinese communist spy from Canada, this fake professor has called me out. Did you see this? I did Sneako's stream on Saturday, and he asked me what I thought of the YouTube sensation Professor Jiang. And I said, he's okay, but he's getting a lot of things wrong. He's getting a lot of things wrong. He is one of these Duginists that is pushing the Khazarian mafia theory, which exculpates the Jews for their guilt in killing God, among other things. I said, so he's okay, but he just gets things wrong. And I specifically said, I don't agree with that. And some of his doomsday end times prophecy stuff, that's wrong too. And it just seems to be a lot of conspiracy slop. He is one of these people that believes that Trump went to war with Iran so that he could run for a 3rd term and stop elections from happening. So it's this weird mix of like Jesuit, Freemason, Khazarian mafia, resistance liberal. It's just all this conspiracy slop in a pot all together. And I said, yeah, I don't think this is true. And I said that on Saturday with specificity. Well, Professor Jiang fires back on Sneako's stream and says, well, I think Nick Fuentes is a Fed because the conclusions he's drawing don't come from first principles. He's being paid to say things. Paid to say things. First of all, who even are you? When you do your classroom lectures, Are there even people there? You call yourself a professor. I think you're a high school teacher. So that's for openers. So who are you lecturing about geopolitics? Your degree is in English. You got a BA in English. You teach high school, but you're giving these courses on YouTube. Is there an audience? We don't even know. About geopolitics and eschatology and all this other stuff. Honestly, is it a class? Because that would be really disturbing if there wasn't. Could you imagine? He's on like a whiteboard drawing and he's writing all these words on it like this is a lecture. He's writing like, so Iran is Muslim. That's literally, he goes, so Iran is a Muslim country. Muslim. And they're going to try to have an uprising. And he's writing on a whiteboard. You think this is his lecture for his university. It isn't. He doesn't teach it. He doesn't teach at a university. So that's just like scary, actually. So he's calling me out, and I just want to say with some specificity, what conclusions of mine are wrong? I'd love to hear it. I'd love to know which of my conclusions don't derive from first principle.
Nav debates, Nick and Ching Chong.
Let's do it.
Atlas.
Let's reach out to him. Yeah. Hey, we'll host it here.
All right, I think that's good on the Nick clip, but yeah, I mean he's basically saying what we've said. Obviously, he's got a little bit of more information than what I have. Apparently, yeah. I mean a BA in English, and then this is what this guy isn't the first one to do the whiteboard trick as if he's teaching a class. Like I've done a video or two on the chalkboard, but it's obvious that I'm not like teaching a class, but they. Right. Position themselves as if they are a professor. He's not the only one. There's a couple of guys that I'm thinking in the religious realm that do this kind of thing, and it's deceptive at best.
Patrick Bet-David at the peak of his pyramid scamming, he was using a whiteboard religiously, and the funny thing about it was like literally the day after he's going viral with his predictive history clips on YouTube. PBD returns to his chalkboard style. It's like it's so shameless, dude. PBD would do anything for a view. And it's just sad because everybody knows PBD is essentially like, how show could you get? He's like a really watered down version of like any political show you could hear. But I mean, Professor Jiang is just, Chinese Candace Owens. They call him Chinese Nostradamus. I call him Chinese Candace Owens. How you can be Canadian, Chinese, and black all at the same time, that is a feat, but he has done it.
Nice. He's we got a couple of those. I mean, Ted Cruz is kind of vying for that position. Cuban, Jewish, and Canadian all wound up in one. We got some mutts floating around the administration. But this guy's definitely a subversive and deceptive at best. So we're gonna get into a couple of his we're talking about wrong takes. Nick talked about he's got some wrong takes. They were taking shots at each other about wrong takes. Yep. I wouldn't mind hosting a debate. That would be nice. But that being said, there's a take that you have here on, I believe on number 3 it was, with OnlyFans and the white girls in their 20s. Do you want to preface this, or you just want to jump into it?
Yeah, so this is one I added it because it's one of these other subversive elements, and this one was kind of wild because again, this guy basically his credibility is on the fact that he's super well read, he's super researched, he does predictive analysis, he's got all the data in front of him, and I think it was on Sneako, it might have been on Breaking Points, can't remember, but he pushed in a completely wrong statistic about white girls and OnlyFans, and it was something to the effect of 20% of all 20-year-old white girls are on OnlyFans, and that's unsustainable, and that's really how you can tell society is like declining. But the number is actually nowhere near that, and I think if anybody knows who Keith Woods is a strong pro-white activist, and just seeing that clip sent Keith Woods into a rampage. I saw like 4 tweets from Keith Woods about this afterwards, but he was putting in the work, and it's nothing even close. I think it was something, if you separate it for that age bracket, it's something like 4.5%, something like that, which is still not good by any means, but it's nothing close to the 20% figure he was pushing. And you kind of got to get a question there, right? Like, who also tries to push this idea of like, you know, whoring out white women, right? And this idea of like, oh, it's so bad, it's so cooked. But then again, you just kind of question, you know, how could somebody be that wrong on something who does so much research on things like that? And what and why bring that up in relevancy to the Iran geopolitical situation? It's just curious because again, it did happen on one of these streams where they're talking about Iran, and then all of a sudden we're talking about white chicks and OnlyFans. Where is this coming from?
I do want to touch on that because I mean, you asked kind of a question is, you know, somebody that's so red on, you know, across the board, why are they so wrong on something like this? And I'll give you the answer. And I've figured this out because I can't do it. We're all singular human beings. You know, you can't twin yourself and then osmosis back together. You can't go out and create more time. And because we are limited by time, you are limited by research, and you can't research everything. These people that claim to be experts on basically everything. I've said this. I said this on my stream. I consider myself a generalist. I'm not an expert in. I'm not going to say anything. I would call myself an expert in a few things. But I'm not an expert in everything, right? And so because of this, I don't think I ever could be, because we're all limited by time. We're all limited by research, and everybody has weak points. And the people that will play this game as if they have no weak points whatsoever, I think they are not to be trusted at all. Because more than likely, their weak point is all of their points. Because they're either lying to you about the weak point, or they're lying to themselves about needing to learn more, get better, become an expert.
Yeah, no, I think it's actually fair pushback. I'd have to rewatch the clip to see like how much kind of authority he's speaking with on the subject. But as you said that, I think he does, like he mentioned with Nick, he's like, I don't know, I think it's something like this. And if that's the case, I think it actually lends into your side of what you're saying, is maybe he just saw something somewhere that was wrong and then he parroted it. Which is also another kind of big problem. This is just a problem in general in the political space, is people see a headline, they grab it, and then that's just kind of like it becomes fact in their head. And especially like in terms of war too, like something that's a fact can be untrue like a few hours later, right? Like you can have a report of naval mines during the Strait of Hormuz. Well, an hour later, like if you didn't pay attention, they might have been all blown up. So now there's no more mines in the Strait of Hormuz. It's like, you know, news can change pretty quickly. But I do agree. I struggle with it too. I guess maybe I hold myself to a high standard for everybody, right? I'm just like, anybody who makes a mistake, I hold it against them. But maybe that's just,
I think we all do,
too extreme.
I try not to nitpick, but it happens, dude. It happens. It makes us better too, to some extent. So, yeah, but this
at
is
least
you're
right
an expert
here,
in everything. Don't take what I said personally. You're the
no. I am not by far. Like I hope people know. Like I feel very retarded. I try to push that. Like I do not. I just read. I read good and talk good, and I'm just the vessel for that.
Yeah, I just consume enough to come. I just consume enough to come to a conclusion that is close enough to being true.
Right. And I can make it make sense.
Sometimes. Well, that's me. Sometimes. I'm not sure if this statistic is correct. You can tell me if this is correct or not, right? But apparently 20% of all American white girls in their 20s are on OnlyFans, something like that, all right? I'm not sure if you've heard this, but just the idea that you have a percentage of American white girls in their 20s all on OnlyFans, that's just incredible to think about, okay? And you know, like the people joke that that's what America wants to do. America wants to liberate Iranian women so that they can go on OnlyFans and enjoy American corruption and decadence.
That's good.
All right.
So this statistic says on Google that for women aged 18 to 24, roughly 14% are active on OnlyFans. So that's 18 to 24, right? Imagine it's probably 20% or maybe 30% if you go up to 35, 40 years old. And the percentage of these women that are white, it's about 70%. So, and that's the narrative you're hearing from the Trump people. They're saying, oh, look, the libtards are getting owned. And they're posting images of Iranian girls stripping free of their niqab, their oppressive niqab, and now they're naked, which is so ridiculous because it's the conservative right saying the libtards are mad that women are on OnlyFans.
Yeah. So again, OnlyFans, I think, is the best indicator of a society in decline, right? So the Roman Empire, when it declined, the main problem was that women refused to have children. And so everyone was freaking out, like, what can we do about it?
Yeah.
How did they get on this? Was that last part is how they got on this, talking about the collapse of empires? And
No, I didn't make it that far. This one, I just picked up off of X. I'm not sure how they got into this part of the conversation. It seems like they were just talking generally at a certain point, I would imagine.
yeah.
But it was the most viral clip of this stream with Sneeko. This one by far, and I imagine because a lot of people are pushing back on it.
In charge, and women are just animals to breed babies. Okay, that's not true. For most of human history, it was women who had control of their bodies. Women could choose who to sleep with and how many men to sleep with, and they often chose to sleep with everyone. Why? Because sleeping with other men, first of all, women enjoy it, okay? But second of all, it allows women to create social cohesion. So for most of human history, early civilizations, women were the core and center of all societies. And the third thing is, there's actually a strategy in sleeping with many different men, because now everyone is responsible for it. So maybe you've been taught that, okay, men are in charge.
This is
and
subversive
women
in
are
by its very nature. The myth is the most natural unit is the family, and blank protect their property, which includes women. I guess men. Yeah. Dude is
Right.
a complete subversive, dude.
Yeah, and Nick even mentioned it too, like resistance liberal. I mean, like this is kind of rife like through his background, and just to revisit some of these things. I mean, before he even had the book, right? The book is about how China's education and the tests are too much, which is the same argument you would hear from a lot of black people prior to like them getting rid of a lot of the standardized testing that used to exist here in the States. I don't know how young the audience or how old the audience is, but it's much different testing now in high school compared to what it used to be. The left did make a lot of headway into those arguments there, but it's the same things. It's innovating Chinese education because they wants to inject creativity. And one of these things I have in here, a tagline, is that he wanted to introduce soul education into China, which who knows what the heck that is. And he followed up with like a second book, Schools for the Soul. So he went even deeper into this idea of like a soul education. So he's pushing for all of these like very, I guess non-standard, non-stereotypical, Eastern beliefs. And so he's subverting East culture, and then he comes over to the West in America and he subverts Western culture. So it's like, what really are you, beyond just like a deconstructor at the bare minimum? It almost kind of like it puts you into the point of like he's like a Hassan level like contrarian, where it's like nothing would ever be good enough. It's like someone's always oppressing somebody. The only way to get out of this is every woman should be naked and every man should be in prison. It's like it's just ridiculous ideas and conclusions he comes to.
Yeah, we're gonna cover. We're gonna jump into. You mentioned PBD. I saw that clip. We're gonna get to that in a second, and then there's this one on breaking points that we're gonna cover. You talk about he's a subversive for the East and a subversive for the West. I think there's only one conclusion we can come to there, Atlas, and I think we both end up at Yale.
Yeah, Yale is the combining element here. Yeah, it's he went to Yale. He's one of them Yale guys. It's a Yale thing.
Yale guys. Uncle Halsey said, "Why is he teaching his class in English if he's in China instead of Mandarin? One, he's not teaching class. Two, he's got a what do you say, a BA in English? He's got a bachelor's in English.
Yeah, that's where he got it from. Yeah, and that's the thing is, so like he's in Beijing teaching, and I believe it's like I'm pretty sure he's teaching at Peking University High School, and teaching in English. Like the only thought that I had was he's like, and maybe he's teaching an English class from Beijing to American students. Like if that would even be a thing, I can't imagine that would be
Zoom.
a thing. Like an online class or something like that. That's the only way I would see it making sense.
Yeah,
they do a lot of weird things with the schooling nowadays.
Why would he have any credentials in teaching that though? I don't know. Anyway, all right.
Yeah, right. If his credentials in English, yeah.
But
go ahead. You want to do?
I got no issues with him making YouTube videos, but don't claim you're like a professor deceptively
Right.
not include that. It's in English. All right. This one's from Breaking. We got a delay, I guess, today. This one's from Breaking Points. We're gonna check this one out. We got another, I don't know, 15 minutes or so on the show.
Well, Chris Bledsoe says kind of corresponds with what Professor Jiang says. You know, everyone loves Professor Jiang. So let's go ahead and watch this. Tell me this doesn't sound like what Chris Bledsoe said. So Professor Jiang says also that the elites or the Illuminati are scripting about the book of Revelations to bring about the end times, which is just a running theme we keep seeing and seeing.
If you look at the Epstein files, it's clear that we are run by secret societies. It's clear that the world is run by these individuals who have a lot of power. We don't know who they are, but they control the military. They control the national security apparatus. And these people, there are different names for these people. You can call them the Illuminati. And the Illuminati are composed of three major groups. Okay, you have the Jesuits, who control the Vatican. You have the Sephardim Frankists, which control the modern state of Israel today. You have the Freemasons, which control the national security apparatus of the United States. And they believe that Israel, this war in the Middle East, is key to the end times in creating heaven on earth. So it's almost like a script that they're following, even though it doesn't make any geopolitical sense. Okay, so I would say that these three are the best reasons why this is happening.
What the fuck? How do you miss so close? How do you get so close and just miss, dude?
Because he's probably being paid
it's the
to say
Frankists,
things.
the Jesuits, the Illuminati. It's the secret societies, but they're all following this one script. Their one script.
Yeah.
And they think that Israel is the key to the end times. It's like, let's get there, dude. You're right there. Let's get there. There's another 6 seconds. I'm assuming Breaking Point says something. Red Panda Koala. I've never watched Breaking Points.
Yeah, I've heard the name before.
This is okay. I'm messed up. You just pulled the clip. Give me 1 second.
Wow.
Yeah. He's just.
So there you go. You got Chris Bledsoe and Professor Jiang kind of.
All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I've heard of this red panda koala guy before. He just for whatever reason that his clip was more viral than any Breaking Point, so I included it because it seemed to make it was the same stuff I was gonna pull from Breaking Points anyways. The PBD one's just funny though. That's the next
PBD
one
one's funny
here. Yeah, it's just feds copying feds. It's just PBD. Like he's being left alone. Like everyone's figuring out PBD is like not organic. And so, like, he's becoming less utilized, less appearances, less, I think Andrew Tate really did it for him. Say that again.
I said, finally. Are people finally recognizing that? I mean, that's day one, dude. That's day one.
You would hope. Well, I think the Andrew Tate one really destroyed it for him.
I haven't looked at his metrics recently. Are they going down? I mean, is it not getting the attention he's wanted recently?
I would have to assume so. The last couple of things he's done, I mean, like he put out a personal video on X. I can't even remember what he said, but it was just like, it was so covered in retardium that like I couldn't even make it 10 seconds into it. I can't remember what the topic was, but it was some kind of defense. It was some kind of really, really weak and limbric defense of the administration on something that they had done. And then you combine this with him directly copying Jiang's style the day after he's going viral on X. It's like, whether his numbers are down or not, he's trying to boost them. So take that for what you will. He's trying to claw back.
Yeah, he I was gonna say something, I forgot. Oh man.
Numbers down, Tate, Clubacost. That's the one that I think did it for him. I think that was probably the worst interview period. I don't think anybody was happy with anyone.
Adam Snoznik.
Yeah.
Adam Snoznik. Dude, that guy, like I get you on like a contrarian on the show, but bro, Adam is impossible to listen to. Especially the Tate interview, but just in general, like Adam is impossible to listen to. Like I can deal with some voices, like I can deal with some Jews sometimes, but that guy is an arrogant, know-it-all. It's just hard to listen to, man.
Well, I was thinking about this. I was like, if I had to say who is probably the most potent Jewish bulldog, it probably is Adam. It's like you have what? Who else? Who else fills that bulldog role? Mark Levin used to, but he's just an old goot now. Like nobody even wants to even hear him speak. It's like it's really like Adam, and people were quoting him and clipping it like it's like Adam was making great points from there too. So like, I don't know. Somebody's paying him something, or he's paying somebody to allow him to continue,
or not. Oh, maybe I just heard that somewhere.
Yeah, right.
Let's take a. Oh, you don't have the video. This is yeah. So PBD does these videos. Wow, that is a thing
to be thinking about. Number one, you.
He started doing the shorts too recently.
Are Jewish. There's a couple things I want you to be thinking
about. That is a banger, dude. That's
good.
That is good.
I've seen that before. That's a good one.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen that before. That is hilarious. Oh man.
Some things you need to remember. Number one, you're Jewish.
Somebody's saying he was wiping his nose from his cocaine usage, which I wouldn't doubt, dude. All of these people are on drugs, coping.
Yeah.
Cocaine. Give me some cocaine. So they graduated from a Coca-Cola to cocaine.
That's funny. Well, you know what's funny is the PBD reference there is they're not even people outside of that were making the point of like how PBD, how similar it is. But inside that clip itself, though, he apparently makes the claim that PBD tried reaching out to him to get him on the show, but he denied it. That it was like some form of like setup.
I thought it was a random clip. I'm sorry.
No. So I'm curious, like,
clip. Let me pull it
Patrick
up.
Bet David, I recently saw he's like trying to copy your lectures a little bit. Maybe you didn't see, but this is a good example of a Western Iranian. He comes to America and encourages this war, but then he's not going to fight in there. He's not going to enlist. He doesn't go back to Iran with it, not going to fight in the war. Are these examples of Mossad paid influencers, or are they just completely brainwashed and don't know how to submit to the fact that Trump completely lied about everything he said he was going to do in his campaign?
So Patrick David, he actually got in touch on Monday. He wanted to interview me. He wanted me on his show. And what happened was that was the same day that there was a concerted online campaign against me. Like it was just weird in that, you know, I went on Twitter and like everyone was attacking me. And like it was the same talking points. So I'm like who are these people and why is this happening all at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
So that interview request from Patrick Bet David, I'm like, you know, like this must be a setup.
Yeah.
He wants me on a show so that he can provoke me into say something really stupid.
Patrick Bet David, I recently saw he's like trying to copy your lectures a little bit. Maybe you didn't see, but this is a good example of.
I mean, if it's going viral, I mean, and I don't get me wrong, I'll bash on PBD all day long. But I mean, if something's going viral and it's creating controversy, and Patrick Bet David rides trends, wouldn't it just make sense that what he's talking about would align with those attacks on you?
Yeah. Well, I think this is actually more evidence that if he wouldn't even be able to handle PBD's pushback, I mean, he probably isn't debating anybody at all. He's not going to air these out with anyone.
Yeah, I mean,
he's afraid.
Well, he was on. I mean, PBD is like top like 5 podcasts. At least, I mean, he used to be fairly recently. I mean, he was on a couple of podcasts. What? Sneako's obviously pretty big. He was on with Jimmy Dore. He was on with Breaking Points.
He sells $300 shoes.
Yeah. He put out a trailer for his shoes the other day, talking about they spent 2 years designing them and prototypes to get them just right for you because.
Yeah, bro. And they're colored Grill Masters. It's like I'm not paying $300 for that, dude.
But yeah, it's like, why would you turn down PBD? Like all the shit I talk about PBD, I still would go on PBD. You know?
Right. Yeah. Well, I think it's because I'd be able to back up what I'm saying against him. I would be able to formulate an argument about why I think the things I think. I think with this guy, I think he knows that PBD has a bit more of a wealth of knowledge, particularly on Iran, that I think if he would came to shove on certain things, it would poke holes in like, just how much of a professor are you? You know, how smart really are you?
Yeah,
and that's how a lot of these solos
a good point.
operate.
I mean, PBD is Iranian.
Mhm.
Like if you were trying to get to the root of the problem to some extent, or try to work some things out, like, wouldn't you want to go to someone that's relatively Iranian or relatively westernized? I mean,
Well, that's even better. A Western Iranian. This is a specimen. Here's someone who's
that's your
promoting
guy,
the war
right?
against his own people. Right? It's like, here's a great conversation.
Yeah, that's your guy, dude. What are you doing? Yeah, that's a flag too, dude. Yeah, I mean, this guy's obviously subversive. Obviously, maybe not a Fed, but he's definitely up there. He definitely went on the circuit for all intents and purposes. I mean, this is obviously not the last time. Obviously, not the last time we're gonna see of him. So, I guess keep an eye out. Let's catch some more clips from this dude saying some absolutely outrageous stuff.
I'm sure it's coming. The plethora of shows he'd been on recently was a bunch of people I'd never heard of before. Like I have a list right here. One was just like Kai. I have no idea who that is. No, it's not Kai Schwimmer. Oksana Boyko. He is on with
Kai,
Shane Simonson.
like Kai Cenat.
Click on it.
Let me click on it.
I'm not too familiar with that.
Which one? Where am I?
The page is Soar Financially.
Okay.
Kai Hoffman is his name.
No, I don't know him.
He
looks
he was on Jimmy Dore recently.
Yeah, the guy. You want to reach out to him and get him on? He'd probably do it.
Jiang, he might. He's probably
just don't tell him what we're about.
Yeah. Just you want to come on the show? Just don't look up the YouTube channel till it's the day of.
Here's our YouTube channel. Just don't watch any of the videos.
Don't. This channel's not started yet. This is the first video. We promise.
I mean, that's basically all I have. I mean, if there's anything else you want to cover, I mean, we kind of laid the groundwork at the beginning for our positions on this guy. I mean, I think, well, at least my position and how I move through a lot of this is that, you know, if they're going on this Fed circuit, they're pumping out 15 to 20 appearances in like a week and a half. It's like, it's very telling. A lot of times they get controversy going on specifically with things they say that are dumb. Like, is that what I have to do? I have to say something absolutely retarded to get any traction going. I mean, the answer is obviously
just shout
no,
the N-word in public,
but it makes it easy. Oh, I've dropped it a couple times on stream. I got no issue. Oh, go full on chud.
Yeah, go chud, dude. Then we can watch as no public defender will take your case.
What happened to Chud? He's kind of gone.
For Chud,
is that what happened?
He just got delayed again. The guy reached out. He's got to get a new one.
Really?
Mm-hmm. At least I think the tweet was from
I haven't
today,
seen anything.
sure.
I haven't seen anything from him. Eric said Casey the car guy had to. Yeah, we'll fill up the next like 5 or 10 minutes with this question. You're over there in Ohio. Do you get any feeling out there? I don't know how involved you are with the community. Is there a presence of Casey at all, or is it just like Vivek?
Well, the thing is, for people like, so I'm just outside of like the major urban area. So for me in this area, I've seen, for one, I'll tell you this, I've seen way more Amy Acton than I've seen both Vivek and Casey combined. Seen way more Amy Acton around, and that's just kind of the peripherals. What's notable is, I will say, I live off of a like very prominent highway for my region, and there's a political billboard that sits. Well, there's two of them, but the one that sits near me, that's not like 40 minutes away. The one that sits near me is like vacant, and I think it recently switched to like a Best Buy thing. So like nobody's even buying the political space up in Ohio. I think that both in the primaries right now, they think they've kind of determined that the front runners are going to be who's going to be facing off in the general. So I think the reason why I've not seen much presence at all is because they're both kind of waiting for the general to start picking up, and then they'll start dumping money back into it, which is unfortunate because I'm somebody who really wants Casey to win. I think Casey should stay in it. I actually covered this maybe about a week or two ago. I think Casey got really blackpilled by some of the conversations he was having with other just political individuals in the space and going through some of his experiences. So I feel bad, like just even listening to him, because I mean, this is the same black pill most of us arrived to, which is like, it feels like you can do so little no matter how hard you try. And I think he also, it made me feel bad because I think he was kind of comparing and contrasting his campaign to Fishback by one of the first comments he made in the video was, he doesn't have the time or can he afford even to go out and do like public events and all of this because they don't even have enough money to afford babysitters. You know, he still has to work a regular job. And it made me feel bad because it is like, that is a major disadvantage. And it kind of harkens back to where I'm at with this idea of like, we need, like, people got to level up. You know, we need financiers. We need people who are able to actually help funnel money into these things. Like, we don't have a billionaire, right? The dissident right just doesn't have a billionaire, but we need one badly. We need somebody who can give access and push these things, because it would have been a boon to Casey. I mean, if Casey would have got like even like $500,000, I'm sure that would have bought him enough time to do IRL events. But he didn't even have that. So like, that's a huge, huge loss to us. And so I overall just feel bad. I'm still rooting for him and I'll still be voting for him, but I don't have high hopes.
Yeah, I mean, I would get blackpilled too talking to some of these guys. I have talked to some of them. You know, I've been loosely involved with a few campaigns, national and state campaigns, but it is a rough world out there. And I've talked about this before too, is that the system is built to provide for the system, at least now. And, you know, it originally wasn't like that, but it is now. And so kind of along those same lines of the system was made for someone to sit in that seat that could work a regular job, that was just a regular guy, you know, a layman throughout the society, the people that they're representing, but that just doesn't exist anymore. And it is that way so that they can gatekeep the seat, right? It is. And it's the same thing with this type stuff, right? This takes years to get rolling unless you have an underpinning of a foundation that someone like your boy Gates Garcia and Daddy Financier with Daily Wire and the Blaze backing, right? And still can't even get anything going, right? And I talked about this with Josh yesterday with the local TV station and stuff, local radio station, and those guys trying to help Josh out or not help Josh out with the businesses that he's building. It's like there's no help there for that. And then they want to complain and say, how do we get young people involved? And then they'll cast us aside. They'll not you know, if I hold the wrong position on Israel, it's like the end of the world, but we need young, bold leaders. But then it's like, no, not that bold. I want you to go with the flow, but you got to be bold with the flow. I need you to bold with the flow. It's like,
well, look at what they're doing to Kai right now. To Kai Clips, Kai Schwimmer. Joel Berry's been literally on a rampage. I'm going to be talking about this today. I meant to cover it yesterday, but they've moved into this, like, it's just out in the open. They say like, we have to gatekeep. They're roping in Dana Loesch and like, come on, we need more conservatives to gatekeep this guy. And like Kai Schwimmer is like, literally, I mean, I almost can't even watch his streams because of how like literally chipper and jovial the guy is. I'm a much more black belt individual than that, but he's like a super kind of, you know, kind and chill person. And at a certain point, these tactics aren't going to work if they can't even allow like the most front-facing, you know, smiling, like cheeky kind of guy, you know, into the office because he's somewhat close to a groiper. I mean, at a certain point, it's going to break one way or the other. Either the will of guys to go up and to bat is going to just break, or these people who try to gatekeep will get run over. And I'm looking to run these people over.
Is that on the back end of the Rift issue? Or is that just
partially
separate?
It's because he was named political director as a 23-year-old for College Republicans of America, and that's what they're responding to. Because CRA is like the second biggest organization compared to TPUSA.
I got you.
We got to gatekeep the groipers. He's the good cop and Nick's the bad cop. I'm not even joking you. This is the line of argument they're leading with. And it's Joel Berry leading the charge.
Isn't he Mormon? Gosh, Mormon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's grab this from Gasser.
Utah or not.
What do you say?
I don't know if he's from Utah or not, but I do know he's Mormon.
Okay. Gasser, 18% of age bracket, 70% of them whites. It means roughly 13% of the total bracket. It could represent 20% of the whites easily. I guess speaking on the initial discussion that we had over white girls on OnlyFans.
I trust Keith Woods. Keith Woods said it's a complete lie. So it's a complete lie. So done.
I mean, 20% sounds insane to me. Insanely high.
Well, I think it's like, I'm pretty sure it's something like 20% of all American women are on OnlyFans. But if you start breaking that by race and age, it's going to start to get very, very small. But I don't even think it's that high. There's no way. If we're already at the point where 1 in 5 women are whores, are online whores and prostitutes, I mean, like, maybe there's a point. Maybe I will just do the Candace route. The aliens, guys. Look at this.
Yeah, 20% sounds insane to me. I mean, I don't know. I want to know where. I need to look into that. I mean, that's not my ballpark, and it hasn't been for a while. It's more your ballpark than anything. So,
yeah, I may be wrong, but I saw from like multiple people that I trust outright call it a lie. Quote tweeting it. Keith Woods, I've mentioned multiple times, provided a bit more information on it, and a few other individuals too. So I saw it was like in single-digit percentage. I think it was like 4 or 5% is what I saw.
All right, we're gonna. Little Adam says, Little Matt says, Adam Snoznik, dude, nailed it with that one. Snoznik is a handler for sure. I found a show with Amy Dangerfield. She's with 3 other girls, so it's 4 girls and Snoznik. Quite the end of table while they discuss Charlie Kirk assassination. I might check that out. I have seen them on a show. What's it called? The Take? Isn't it something called The Take with Adam and 4 chicks? Have you not seen that show yet?
Is it?
Hold on.
Oh, is that where Amy Dangerfield got her start? Wasn't she on PBD? Isn't that where she used to work?
I don't know. Hold
on, let me get a hold of my tech teams in Israel.
Adams.
But Tick says there's 1.4 OnlyFans models in America, 2% are white. That doesn't exclude the thousands of H1B models. Straight from OnlyFans on the numbers. Interesting. Thank you for that, Tix.
This is download Manect. This is these are your boys, the Vanguard. Me and Josh used to watch these guys and make fun of them the whole time. But anyway, this is I'm assuming her take. It's her take. This is her take with Adam Snoznik.
So who is that? Adam Kasparian, Amy Dangerfield, Jillian, I always forget her last name.
Michaels.
And Jillian Michaels, and then random token Asian woman.
Yeah. And then Schnoz.
Abbott gave a briefing. She is the Secretary of the Department of National
Bro, what has happened to my video?
Intelligence. And so she's talking about the threat that Iran poses.
Right, their stream.
She specifically addressed.
Huh? Yeah, probably.
It's probably the Vanguard stream. That's where we're watching it from. Their reaction.
Yeah, they suck.
Just in case. I also have a tampon. In case you need a tampon.
Adam, she's gonna beat the shit.
Bro, at that point,
threw a tampon at Anna Kasparian. That's funny. Probably because she was criticizing Israel. Anna's pretty red-pilled on the Israel positioning.
That's funny.
I'm surprised she's still at TYT, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, this is kind of the thing that I think is one of the big stopping points of like why it's going to be difficult to unite the left and the right. I think if we want to do this decoupling from Israel from both a joint kind of, bipartisan point, the left is not going to move to the racial element of it. Like they're not going to move to the Jews. Like that, Hassan fights a day and night and never named the Jew, right? It's Israel. And so I think that's the big stopping point because these people have been basically geared to believe that there's quite literally nothing is relatable to race. Like no action, no pattern of behavior, no nothing. Like race has nothing to do with it. And like that's like one of their top held beliefs. I don't know how you would break through that. I think the only way would be the right would have to loosen the language and be like, well, let's just get rid of Israel. Right? We'll drop saying to the Jew all the time, if you'll just agree, we're going to decouple from Israel. And I think that's ultimately what would have to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's where it is. I mean, that's we can bring it full circle for Professor Jiang and say that's his hang up too, is Israel. The inability to name the Jew specifically. So Atlas, good show today, dude. I'll let you close out, and since I opened, and chat.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for bridging over, especially the ones that stuck around for it from my stream earlier. Atlas, you streaming tonight?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
All right, y'all go check Atlas out too. Take it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and appreciate everybody for being here. For I believe the 4th edition of the circuit. I could be wrong. Maybe it's the 5th, 6th, who knows? But anyways, we brought you some good content today. And again, this is going to be the purpose of the circuit. And it seems like we're getting once a week since the Iran war has been starting, but this is kind of the whole purpose here, figuring out who's a Fed, what kind of Fed, are they an asset, who's paying them, why are they being paid, what are they containment for, what are they being preventing, all of that. Me and Zeb try to do our best to break these down and give you arguments. And so you may disagree at times, you may agree at times, but I do hope at the very least, you do hear us out, because I think we have some good bits to say. And this is something that I think people need to be aware of. And Zeb does too. The manipulation of the sentiment, public opinion, and all of the ins and outs that goes into it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Christ is King, as always, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us.
I was
and I thought you were a Fed.
I was a Fed.
Yeah.
I'm not a Fed.
What about the USS Liberty?
No, you should be careful about that. It doesn't. Let me stop you there. It doesn't matter whether or not